Welcome back to another episode of Tribal Council Talk, an unofficial Survivor podcast brought to you by the amazing people at KMOV in St. Louis. I am John O'Sullivan, a former KMOV producer and Survivor superfan, and I am joined by the one and only Tasha Fox, two-time Survivor contestant, and one of my favorites ever to be cast away. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Yes. How did you enjoy last night's episode?
Oh, last night's episode was great. You know, double elimination, double fun, double your pleasure. I doubly enjoyed it.
Yeah. We talked a little bit. I think I was expecting a double tribal council earlier.
Yes.
But, hey, this is where we're at.
Exactly.
So before we get to the end of the episode with the double tribal councils, let's talk about the beginning. It's a very good place to start, where we saw the typical Ozzy reaction coming back from tribal council.
Exactly. I mean, I saw the fire burning before they even left tribal when
his reaction
Christian, I was like, hey, I'll fill you in. Ozzy's like, too late, man. Yeah. Ozzy was pissed.
And I know it got mentioned a little bit that he had a little previous interaction with Mike White, like outside of the game.
Yes.
But, we didn't, again, Angelina could have had a worse reaction, but we didn't really see any of Angelina's reaction.
Right.
When that was like her number one.
Exactly. Yeah, she just seemed pretty quiet and reflective, whereas Ozzy, was very vocal. And I agree, based on his history in Survivor, like he's trying to play a strategic game this season. So I think he just felt like, man, it's slipping away again. I'm out of control. And Ozzy's losing challenges. That's not something that he's really accustomed to. Yeah, right. So his game appears to be going up in smoke. So yeah, you should be mad.
Yeah, hence the title of the episode, Open Wounds.
Open Wounds,
But, he did... he did seem to realize that trauma, and he did, meditate and come through it. So how do you think he played it with Christian after?
Yes. I thought that he did the very Survivor thing, which is apologize, whether disingenuinely or genuinely, an apology and, hey, sorry about, how I blew up. Let's get back on track. That goes a long way in Survivor because, blowing up at the wrong time could get you sent home. So I think he did good cleanup. And I was a little shocked by Stephanie's involvement with excluding Ozzy since they're a pretty tight alliance. So, but Ozzy did explain that if they would have told him, he probably would have told Mike and tried to blow up the plan. So good decision on Christian and Stephanie and Emily's part, but maybe Stephanie could have at least threw Ozzy a little bone.
Right. I think she's lucky that she can kind of throw Christian and Emily under the bus on that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then still keep her relationship strong with her old school friend Ozzy.
True.
All right. So then we get the amazing show open again, which I love seeing every single week. I do not fast forward through the show open. And coming out to start the episode with the Orange Tribe. Charlie and Jonathan talk about that they're 4 strong with Dee and Camilla, but do you think that they were too confident in that because that tribe hadn't been to tribal council yet, so they didn't know where the cracks were?
Yes, I think they definitely were a little premature in that strategy. But for the tribe that continuously wins, you don't know where the lines are drawn. You don't know who's telling the truth. So at some point, as counterintuitive as it is in the game of Survivor, you want to know where allegiances are, and tribal council is the perfect place to get that answer. But I think they're a little too premature in terms of who they want to vote out and just talking too much.
So do you think that they may, especially Charlie, may have taken it for granted and not done as many check-ins as you've put it, like just making sure they're on the same page?
Yes, I agree. Yeah, Charlie seems to just be taking a casual approach. But it's inconsistent because sometimes I feel like he's really playing and other times he just seems to be floating along.
Just trying to stay in the middle.
Exactly, yeah.
But then it seemed like Dee was not really on board with their thoughts of, just automatically doing Rizzo. And I think that's, the experience of Dee always wanting to be the one running things.
Yes.
And not being told what to do.
Exactly. That is Dee's personality. And it served her well, right? She's not one who will just go wherever the tides turn. She's actually the wind that is pushing the tide. And I thought it was great that she sat down with Rizzo. the hammock talk.
The hammock talk.
The hammock talks. Everything seems to be happening on that hammock.
Yeah, hammering it up on the hammock.
Yes, and so I like Dee and Rizzo, and Rizzo's recognizing the strength of women. He's happy to go along with strong women.
I think he's happy to sit in the hammock with Dee, especially when she's wearing the red top around camp. But I mean, that people talked about that before, that even though they know that she's a threat, Dee is just always seems to pull through, almost like a Suri, because they have such a dynamic personality and people just can't help but want to be around
Exactly. And it was that Dee herself who said that her friend told her, hey, if you're on a tribe with Suri, get her out. She's dangerous. But you're right. They're cut from the same cloth. And so maybe they find comfort in each other.
Thinking about it, I'm wondering, if Charlie's perceived differently this season than his original season because of who he's more closely aligned with. Like, you see Charlie standing next to Maria in 46, it's a different sort of threat, as opposed to, if you see Charlie, Jonathan, and Devins together, it's almost more three amigos as opposed to just a dude and an older woman.
Yeah, that's a good observation. That's a very good point. Kudos to Suri for changing her stakes in the game, right? Her stock went up. She got invited to the hammock.
In the hammock?
Which means you're in if you're on that hammock. So I was happy to see that Suri is kind of finding her place, but she's like flying below the radar.
She's apparently going to make the merge.
Looks like it. Who would have thunk it?
Okay, so again, a lot of bouncing back and forth between tribes before, but one of my favorite parts of this episode, the return of the coach nicknames, and how do you view the Tidewalker versus the Dragon Slayer?
I like the Tidewalker. I'm sure there's some significance to the name.
I looked it up.
Yes, you never disappoint, John.
So one of the definitions found easily on the internets, a Tidewalker figure, according to some narratives, represents a leader navigating through obstacles with tactical fluidity rather than sheer force, a strategy often associated with navigating complex, changing environments. Does that sound anything like Survivor?
Sounds just like Survivor and Coach. I think Coach is playing such a good social game this season. I think he is very much aware, and he's less about the antics. Even though the knighting and the naming ceremony is a little cheesy, I think it gets to the core of what Survivor thrives on is loyalty, right? To get to the end of the game, you need at least two people that are loyal to you. So even if giving them a name creates some sense of comfortability and trust in the game, I love it. I think Coach is very, very strategic in doing that.
Yeah, I think the Tidewalker, the Stonebell Warrior, and the Oakbound Warrior are pretty closely tied now.
I agree.
I mean, Coach did say to Joe, like, you're my number one now.
Yes.
And they've barely been together.
I agree. But is he telling Colby the same thing?
I don't know. We didn't see that.
Right.
You never know what doesn't.
Never know.
There's a lot of footage that gets dropped on the editing room floor.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him, and they all talk, and then Joe's like, "Hey, wait, he told me this."
Right.
And so hopefully Coach doesn't overplay it.
I think he learned that lesson because he did talk about in his preseason interviews about, like, I can't make too many promises to too many people that I can't keep.
Exactly.
So hopefully he's evolved out of that.
I don't know, because he's talking to Aubrey. He's talking to a lot of people.
He's playing his social game now.
Yes. Yes, he is.
And it just it seems like that he's going to be part of a close five with Coach, Joe, Colby, Chrissy, and Genevieve.
Yes. Outside of Chrissy and Genevieve, I love Joe, Coach, and Colby together. They're like meat shields for each other, right? And so when you eventually get to the merge, and the target is usually on the strong players, I think they can protect each other. So I really like them. I think they can go a long way if they can keep the old school loyalty, pact, and integrity. If they really hold to that, they may go all the way. The thing is, though, not every one of them can. Only one of them can win.
But that's an interesting perspective on the meat shield stuff, because Joe and Colby are known for how well they do in challenges. Coach, maybe not so much, known as more of the character rather than the challenge beat.
Yeah.
So having his Stonebell and Oakbound Warriors in front of him could protect the Tidewalker.
Great shields. Agreed. Throw Jonathan in there, and then
that's so many meat shield. That's a shish kebab of meat shield. Those five do leave out Aubrey and Tiff, but as you brought up, like Aubrey makes a play on Coach. How did you think about her strategy there?
I thought it was very smart. Just her and Tiff. That's not a huge alliance. But Aubrey is one of those people I think Coach feels like I can trust her too. But Coach is in a very strong position. So if I were out there, I'd want to be attached to Coach as well. So I thought it was very great for Aubrey to reach out. She hasn't seemed to find her footing yet.
Not at all.
At all, right? I'm surprised. I'm really surprised.
As you said before, it's like she just seems to be playing with a huge chip on her shoulder as opposed to being open to things. She seems to be more closed.
More closed, yeah. But having Tiffany as her bestie out there, I think it's giving her at least some sense of grounding. If she didn't have Tiffany, I think Aubrey would be a disaster.
Agreed. To me, it reminded me of Coach's relationship with Edna in South Pacific. Mm-hmm. He has his core alliance, but he had this other, side piece.
Yes.
So, that was just another
side piece.
South Pacific throwback to, we've in the beginning of the South Pacific flashbacks with Christian and Cochran. So I just feel like there's been so many flashbacks to South Pacific that I don't think the Coach versus Ozzy saga is over yet for this season.
Ooh, yeah. Well,
dun, dun, dun.
Yep, it's coming.
Yeah. But as we said, I really think Coach is evolving. I loved his, at the end of this segment, his confessional where he's telling himself, don't get cocky, which is, kind of a 180 of other people's attitudes, including Rizzo and this there.
God.
And that, he did say, in his pregame interviews that he wasn't just looking to be Coach the character. Like he really wanted to try to play an actual better game and not just get the screen time.
Yes.
And, the fact that he said, I'm finally me, and like I said, so many of these people have evolved. He's a dad now.
Yes.
He only coaches his kids' sports teams. A lot of these people have evolved since they've played their previous time.
Exactly. I like Coach 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is he Coach 4.0?
Well, true.
Yeah.
So many iterations, but I like this one. Yeah. Coach 5.0.
Yeah. So we bounce back to the Orange Tribe at dawn.
The best conversations happen at dawn.
That's what Charlie said in his confessionals at 46. So he wakes up Rizzo sleeping in the boat, which does not look that comfortable to me.
Yeah, this season they've just we don't care about shelter, we don't care about food, we don't care about fire. Let's just play this game. I love it. And it looks like it's pretty cold out there on the island. So the boat is probably a windshield for...
We've got meat shields and windshields.
Windshield. Yes, but it didn't look comfortable, did it?
No, not at all. As we said, this episode is titled Open Wounds. Do you think that Charlie is playing too emotional right now about his open wound of how Maria just... he's been so upset with Rizzo about saying that he voted out as number one, but it's not like they were so closely aligned. Do you think that's clouding his vision?
I definitely think it's clouding his vision. And I think it's good to reflect on your trauma and think about, okay, how do I improve my game? What mistakes am I not going to make if I get this opportunity again? So I think it's healthy to avoid recurring mistakes, but when you fixate on it and you're so consumed with it that you miss the other parts of the game that are going on, it'll destroy you. So I think he's just consumed.
Yes. So little does Swiftie fan Charlie know that Operation Bad Blood is in effect with Rizzo.
Yes.
Back on the hammock with Rizzo and Dee opening up about the idol.
Yes.
But as we said, Rizzo doesn't say the Billie Eilish Boomerang idol.
Right.
He just says the Billie Eilish idol.
Yes.
So I think some of the people who have idols don't know the full impact of
exactly.
it.
What hasn't been clear from the producers is whether or not Rizzo realizes the weight of that statement when Charlie asked him about, you didn't vote for your number one alliance member. Do you think they didn't ask about it, or they think they're leaving it out there so he doesn't know for sure that's the animosity that Charlie is feeling? Exactly, because Rizzo hasn't even acknowledged, I see why Charlie might be coming for me. It's like there's no conversation around why Charlie is so gunning for
And to me,
Rizzo.
I didn't realize, I thought he would have always said that Savannah was his number one. Anyway, I mean, they were together from the beginning, so I guess I was a little shocked when he even said that Soph was his number one.
Right.
When I just always assumed he was going to vote for Savannah.
Yeah.
So the Riz God, I don't know what's going on in that Riz God head.
Exactly.
But as like you said, he didn't get to see a season, as we talked about before, but he also only had 10 days off in between.
Yes.
So he hasn't fully had time to process everything.
Exactly. Well, the night that the conversation came up, and he's like, oh, you didn't vote for her? Charlie didn't even say anything. He just reflected, right? So there wasn't even a dialogue back and forth where Rizzo could even explain, like, oh, hey, this is really, what happened and made me... It's just strange.
It was strange. Yeah. But I did love the editing of that as well. As I love the little editing things, the flashbacks.
You do. It's your thing.
Little drop-ins. Yes.
It's your thing.
Huge fan of video editing.
I love Operation Bad Blood. It seems to just be growing by the day. More people get brought in, and the operation is good.
It's good.
It's good.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get to the challenge?
No, let's go to this challenge.
The challenge. The biggest reaction from the cast this year of who was voted out, with everyone disappointed they didn't get any more chances to suck up to Mike White to get onto White Lotus.
I know. You know how we had the talent show. I'm surprised there was not a White Lotus audition.
Like a casting process?
Yes, a casting call. That would have been fun to watch. But yeah,
they'll just do their best impressions of the constant stars.
Exactly.
I did love the Stephanie's reaction to let's get one of those, the immunity idols, and then nope. 2 tribes going to tribal council.
There's only one to get. So if it's not the one, that's it.
But they didn't seem that shocked, I think, as you and I talked about, and they probably assumed there was going to be a double tribal council coming up, just because there's so many. I mean, you have 24 cast members on a 26-day season. They're going to have to start knocking people out quickly.
Yeah, I think they were expecting at some point multiple people would go home at once. So I will tell you my disappointment. Not that there was only one winner, but there was no food or reward.
I mean, I know they didn't want to give them rice or beans, but they could do more rewards. Where was the celebrity cook-off for this one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Give them letters from home or something. Give them something.
I mean, from a production standpoint, I could see that, if they knew that, because usually you would want to show them getting the reward.
Yes.
So if you're doing a double tribal council, then you're going to have to go to 2 different tribes before the tribal councils, and that's going to eat up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, come on, give them some PB&J.
Yeah, and let them just eat it at the challenge.
Yeah.
Right there.
Right there. With sand all over your face.
Exactly.
This was a pretty back and forth challenge.
Yes.
As you said, it's much more fun when we could see all 3 tribes competing and not one tribe just getting decimated.
Exactly. Jonathan is a beast in
He's
the
Aquaman.
challenges. Killed it. Joe, I was surprised he was winded there.
Yeah, and Charlie was surprised too. I think his quote was, "This is the most gassed I've seen Joe."
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe it's because they don't have any food.
That part.
Yeah.
But then Stephanie comes out and she kills it. Of course, she didn't have to dig the hole, but even the swimming part and pulling in those heavy bags of coconuts, I thought Stephanie held her own.
So she is also another, as college athlete. Jonathan swam in college. Steph played lacrosse. She gets to wear her Monmouth lacrosse sweatshirt. Do you find that odd at all? Because usually it's like anything that's copyrighted, you can't
That's a
can't
good
wear.
point. Yeah, I am surprised. But, you never know what deal Survivor is making on the side.
I mean, they're all returning players. That could be in her contract.
Right, exactly.
Before the end, where Blue comes back, what did you think of Tiff's Indiana Jones?
The lasso technique.
Yeah.
Oh, she killed it. She killed it. And Joe redeemed himself at the end of the challenge with the beanbag.
I know. I need to practice throwing bags up on a tiny little platform.
That angle is important.
Right. Pop. Yeah, a lot of drops off. Yeah, I mean, Jonathan was close. So all of them were close.
Yeah.
So many times.
I hate when tribes get blown out, right, in the challenge. You want it to be a close race. And even the tribe that's terrible, they were in it.
No, everyone was in it back and forth throughout the time.
Yes.
And I think, I can't wait for an individual swimming challenge of Jonathan versus Ozzy.
Oh, my goodness. I think Jonathan led. He beat Ozzy in that swimming the part that they did together, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but there was no diving down. I mean, anyway, I just can't wait.
It's going to be good.
I'm aquatically oriented, so
yes,
I'm very
you are.
excited. All right, so Blue wins, and they don't have to worry about it. They're all they're all moving on
Yes.
To the next day.
Yes.
And then we have the 2 tribes, which we just keep popping back and forth between orange and pink. And no, I can't remember their tribe names.
Me either.
Colors. But we start back with Operation Bad Blood.
Yes.
and the orange tribe. Rizzo, he's already thinks he's got D, or
Yes.
D's got him. Either way. Mm-hmm. Now he's working on Camilla.
Yeah, in the hammock.
In the hammock again.
Mm-hmm.
We got to come up with a word for the hammock.
For the hammock, yes, we'll do that.
Oh, we're gonna swinging it. No, I don't know. I can't think of anything yet. And I hope once the merge comes, they get to go to that beach and they get to keep the hammock.
Keep the hammock.
So Rizzo's lie to Camilla about Kyle. Did you think that was a good play on Rizzo's part, and do you really think Camilla bought it or not?
I definitely thought it was a good play. It was so funny. And Camila, I mean, she was eating it up, so it seemed.
Right.
But she's turning out to be a very good actress, right? I thought it was great, but her reasoning skills kicked in. She's like, wait, you knew the guy for like one day.
Right.
And on his last words, stick with Camilla.
Yeah, as he's being upset that he's being pulled from the game. I'm going to look out for you, Riz God.
Go with Camilla. Yeah, I think she sniffed that out long before. Yeah.
But, like as you said, then her acting skills continue
Yes.
with the Charlie interaction. And again, I was very impressed with her acting for non-major skills.
She's like, no,
Yeah.
Billie Eilish?
Yeah.
Seriously?
But she was great, even though I thought she was a little harsh on Charlie for
Yes.
being a slow player when really he just again, not that far away.
No, the ink isn't even dry yet, but
Yeah.
she did a great job with her acting.
As I said, we're bouncing back and forth as we get ready for the double tribal councils, and as we head back to the pink tribe,
Yes.
Ozzy gives the ultimatum to Christian on giving me the shot in the dark to prove your trust.
Yes, I love that strategy, and I love that Ozzy's just more than a fisherman. You can tell he's trying to play the game. He's making a new name for himself in terms of strategy. And, I think he was going to work with Christian either way, because I think it's better for his game long term. But to have enough wherewithal to say, let me at least get a little insurance just in case.
I think even more impressive that, that he is a total old school player.
Yes.
And then thinking about taking advantage of this new element of the new school.
Yes.
And even so, hey, good job, Oscar, evolving from Ozzy to try to come up with another way.
Yes. But Christian's initial response, I was like, uh-oh. I thought maybe
I thought there were going to be more
Ozzy-
fireworks.
Exactly. I thought Ozzy may have ruined the relationship, but Christian...
Ruin the friendship?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not going to get as many Swiftie references now that Charlie's gone.
Yeah.
But then, so he goes to, Emily, and then do you think he thought at that point that getting rid of Christian was a viable option, or just trying to bridge the gap with Emily?
Yeah, no, I don't think he thought it was. I don't think he really believed that it was a viable option. I don't know why I went to Emily. Why wouldn't go to Emily on very much?
Right, because she'll just tell everybody.
She's just going to
maybe
tell
go to
everybody.
Emily if you want a rumor out there.
There you go.
Okay.
That's the only time you go to Emily, if you actually want her to talk. I'm not knowing what's going to happen. I thought Ozzy probably messed up by going to Emily, because the first thing she would do is go to Christian, which she did. But here's the thing about Christian. I think he's very self-aware and acknowledged, I could see why he would do that. So Christian never abandoned the plan because he was emotionally upset. So I think it worked out.
Yeah, I think that's his problem, though, that he still thinks about sometimes too strategically and not emotionally,
right,
of why Ozzy was so upset.
Exactly, because his response was like, why is this guy so mad? Like, get over it. I'm like, the guy was just blindsided again.
Right.
So give him a little grace, which I think after Christian thought about it more, he ended up giving him the shot in the dark.
This is why I think that they're trying to play up the drama for the edit.
Of course.
But I think that he and everyone else was pretty confident that Angelina was the vote, which is why he doesn't really worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Angelina was the vote.
Oh, yeah.
The smart vote,
From the
right?
beginning. Yeah.
From the beginning. She probably should have been gone, but it all worked out.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Like, would Mike White have gone now if they would have gotten rid of Angelina then?
Yeah. And I still feel some type of way about Q because I didn't think this tribe needed to go to every single tribal council. They would have kept a little strength just for a little while.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. If they would have gotten rid of Angelina first.
Yes.
Q would have gotten his vote back.
Yes.
Oh.
It would have been a totally different game.
But we can't go back through
We
the whole
may
season.
still have Mike White.
Yes.
We don't know.
Well, yeah, they may not have gone back. I mean,
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Man, if only they would have talked to us.
That's true.
All right, back to the Orange Tribe when
Yes.
the Riz God and Suri are chatting in the hammock again, and they
That
all
doggone
open up
hammock.
to each other.
Yes. There's some drugs on that hammock. It's just
Truth serum?
the truth serum.
Yeah.
It's probably woven into the hammocks.
It's interesting about, Suri in a confessional talks about, like, you don't talk about
Yes.
that you have an idol, but then she gives up the information to about the extra vote that was given to her by Ozzy.
Right.
So what are, there's different philosophies of, like sharing builds a bond, but
Yes.
then also it could hurt you in the long run. So how do
Right.
you feel about sharing the information like that with a potential ally?
Yes. Since it's Suri, I believe that, and she doesn't share much. Like, she holds her information close to the vest. She's very good about that. So I think what we're not seeing is probably a good relationship between her and Rizzo that is not being shown as much. So for Suri to feel comfortable telling him that, but at the same time, she was on the bottom in her mind, so this may just be a desperate play for her. I don't know. I think we'll see how it plays out, but I like that Suri is no longer the target.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Riz God's a super fan. He's got to think that it's awesome that he gets to play with these players like Suri.
Exactly.
And he's kind of like their little puppy.
I know.
He's so cute and adorable.
He was cute and adorable till he started just running off gastrointestinal distress of the mouth.
Yeah.
Like, he started getting really cocky and talking about his season. And I think Rizzo's advantage is people don't know you. You're an enigma. They're trying to figure you out. So the less you talk about how great you are and how godly you are, then I think the better, the cuter you'll be.
Mm-hmm. I guess the idea would be, do you think if he would have downplayed it like Savannah kind of downplayed more of her season and then got out because she wasn't as forthcoming, while the opposite of Rizzo, where he's talking nonstop, and then I think maybe they are, like, they're indulging him, but then underestimating him.
Yeah. I guess it just depends on the day, because him talking about what he did to his number one ally, it was just a function of him saying too much. So I think in the right moment, you say the wrong thing, then the game could go in a totally different direction.
Yeah, he does love talking.
Yes, he does.
The only thing, that he doesn't know about the boomerang part of the idol, but Suri does.
Yes.
So Suri doesn't disclose that.
That
like,
part.
she does keep some cards close to the vest.
Yeah. I think it's such an interesting dynamic that some people know only a portion. We'll see how that plays out once everyone comes together.
So the thing that did shut Rizzo up, at least for a little bit, was when Devins called him out of, like, well, Savannah said you did all this idol play stuff. And then it's like he doesn't know, like, oh, crap, like, someone knows something about me.
Yes, yeah. That did kind of scare him a bit.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, too, like, do people know more about him than he thinks? Not just Devins, because the Survivor community is not that big, and people talk. So I think Rizzo, more people know.
I mean, Camilla brought that up when she was walking with Jonathan, like, oh, like, I heard this. So, I'm sure, even though it had only been 10 days between the seasons, like, you're not telling me that people didn't
They
blab.
talked, yeah.
They talk. You're they.
I am they. I might know a little something.
Yeah. All right, anything else before we get to the double tribal?
Ooh, let's get to the tribals, John.
Okay, as we've got more fun Jeff.
Yes.
How do you feel on Jeff impressions versus Jeff's rapping ability?
I'm going to take Jeff impressions for 5,000.
Okay.
Loved it. I did like the rap too, but it didn't really seem like genuinely Jeff, but the impersonations were great. I loved the body posture,
Yeah, it seems to me that was not the first time that he did those. Like,
he's been in the mirror like all day doing his impressions. I'm sure he did a lot more. Or I'm sure there are a lot more that he could do than the ones that he did last night.
Or they could have done more and we only got to see two. Because there's a lot more filming at Tribal Council than we see at Tribal Council.
And I can see the survivors like, keep going, Jeff, keep going.
Let's stall until we have to vote. I think that this the Orange Tribal seemed way more straightforward.
Yes.
I think they tried to make a bigger deal out of it with the Christian thing, but everybody kind of knew that Angelina was going to go home.
Yes, agreed.
But, Angelina wasn't as Angelina-y as she was in David vs. Goliath. She had I think, she's also become a mom. Mm-hmm. She saw herself on TV. Mm-hmm. But, so she wasn't as TV entertaining Angelina, but at least at the end she did, kind of close the jacket story.
Yeah, it was funny, the facial expressions when Angelina went into that bag. People were like, especially Stephanie, she's like, I thought Stephanie probably thought there was like an advantage or something that could be played after somebody's voted out, because she looked like, what is coming out of this bag? And she's like, you guys, and she brought out the coat. I was like, whew, I don't think I could have handled.
Yeah, I guess you can never know. There are idols that have been out there that can be used after the vote,
right?
The vote.
Yeah.
It hasn't been, it hasn't been in a while, but you never know. This is season 50.
Exactly.
And we voted for a dynamic idol.
That's what I thought was about to happen. I'm like, oh no, there's some hidden advantage we didn't know about. That would have been great, but yeah, I'm okay with Angelina. I think it was her time to go.
Yeah, she didn't get a lot of screen time, but props to you for coming back to 50.
And everyone knew. Everyone was in on that vote, so which is good. You don't have to go back to the camp with drama. Right. Everybody was in on it, so nice and clean.
Nice and clean.
Yep.
As Christian wanted to do from the beginning.
Yes.
Went back on himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Pink Tribal, first tribal council for the majority of that tribe. They were in awe, as they should be, for the amazing set decorations.
Yes, yeah, it was beautiful.
I love the look of awe on Jonathan's face, where he looks like a little boy, even though he's the body of Thor.
Yes.
I wanted your perspective on, they talked a lot about Rizzo not seeing his season yet, and Charlie's quote of everyone's the hero of their own story. So you got the chance to see your edit and your show in 28 before you went back on 31. Do you think that really helped you a lot on the second time around?
Definitely seeing your edit, but honestly, it's hurtful. Some of the conversations that people have behind your back, and you're thinking like, man, I really like this person, or I thought, we were tighter than what we were. So it does change your perception of yourself. But it's good, because if you get an opportunity to go back to Survivor, you know what to correct, right? Or at least attempt to correct. And so I think it is a disadvantage to Rizzo. And he is touting that he was this great player and these moves he made, and he did do well. But I think when he watches back season 49, he's going to be shocked at just things that people say about you or their perception of you.
And he brought up some of the other players that played back-to-back seasons.
Yep.
And
Russell Hantz.
Also didn't get a chance to see how everyone reacted to them. And I think he would have played differently if he would have had that chance.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie.
Yep. And like Jeff said, though, he's playing with house money.
Right.
He's in a good position.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to see Charlie go.
Me too.
That does cut down on my as a fellow Swiftie, that cuts down on my Taylor Swift. Operation Bad Blood was successful.
It was successful,
and it is gone.
I know.
Plus, before we get to the preview, I want to show the horribleness of Team John versus Team Tasha.
Okay.
As
one more thing.
Survivor. Oh, yeah.
Unlike the previous tribe, Jonathan and Devins were blindsided.
Yes.
So there's going to be some conversation at camp, some recalibrating.
And as again, as you said, that core hadn't gone to tribal yet.
Right. Now they know where the lines are divided, but good thing next week is going to be a whole different game.
Whole new merge.
But you don't want to go into a merge with bad blood. So Jonathan and Devins
Operation Bad Blood's over.
Operation Good Blood.
Good blood.
Fresh blood.
Yeah.
So we'll see where Devins and Jonathan end up.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're still on the fantasy teams of Team John and Team Tasha, but Team Tasha now has more players left in the game. Team Tasha has Joe, Suri, Tiffany, Aubrey, Camilla, Genevieve, Emily, Christian, and Chrissy. And Team John is left with Coach, Stephanie, Rick, Ozzy, Dee, Jonathan, Colby, and Rizzo. And while Team John has a slight lead in the points, we're about to get to a bunch of bonus points for making the merge, and then all the bonus points for individual immunity challenges. So it's really anyone's game, as well as finding out if the boomerang idol boomerangs back to any people and they get some bonus points.
Yes. I need some points, John. Let's go.
You will get them. All right, coming back out, the preview. We are at a huge merge coming up next week. A merge at 17, which just seems insane.
That's crazy. Where are they all going to sleep? How many boats will they have on this island?
I mean, if they're moving around, they're going to have multiple boats. They're going to have to... Colby's going to have to build some bunk beds in the shelter.
Make a hammock city. We need more hammocks.
We need more hammocks. And then cameras just placed there for all the good conversations happening.
Yes.
We had mentioned this before that I think this is, as opposed to doing an Edge of Extinction, this is a way to keep around more of the players, so at least we'll get to see them as they come in and sit at the jury.
Right.
But then also wondering if all of them will make the jury.
Right. That's my question. And that'll be, 14 people?
Yep.
On the jury?
Which is an even number.
Yeah. Could be a tie. What if it's a final four?
So the thing that I remember Jeff saying is that the fans didn't get a vote on the 26 versus 39 days, and they also didn't get a vote on the final 2 versus final 3. So I'm betting we keep it at a final 3.
At a 3. Okay.
So that it would lead to at the most 14 people on the jury if everyone that makes it to next week makes the jury.
That's true.
So looking, that's 17 people. That is a huge group.
It's huge.
I jotted out what I thought could be the possible groups that are coming together. So we already talked about the 5 of Coach, Joe, Colby, Chrissy, and Genevieve. I would think that Stephanie would go back with Colby.
Yes.
And, you brought up, like Jonathan, like, is he a free agent now after that happened? And we could see him going with the honor and integrity meat shields of that
Could
group.
you add Aubrey and Tiffany in that group as well?
So I just think the animosity of Aubrey towards them as well as the relationships that Tiff and Aubrey had, I would think they would probably go with the bad blood group of Dee, Sari, Camilla, Rizzo, and then will Ozzy get back with Sari?
Yeah. And
then that would be 7 versus 7 with then the 3 nerds of Devins, Emily, and Christian. But again, I don't know, like Devins, Emily, and Christian thought they were a 4 with Sari.
Right.
So there's all these cross things, and shockingly enough, Rizzo has made a lot of connections with a lot of these people.
It's true. And all the idols are out there.
And Sari has an extra vote.
Yeah.
And with multiple people having a motive of getting rid of someone. So, like Genevieve has a motive to get out Rizzo and Ozzy. Christian has a motive to get out Aubrey.
Yes.
And Rizzo, I'm wondering if he'll go back to his old bag of tricks of like, I'm going to threaten to use the idol and you're not going to vote me out.
Right.
But Genevieve's going to be like, nope, I don't care. Let's still get you out.
Yep. She wants it back.
Yeah, she wants it back.
Whew.
It's very exciting.
It is exciting.
So only other things by my research that we need to watch out for the fan vote and how it's going to impact at the Final Four, if there's going to be a fire making or not, or a straight up vote.
Yes.
And then what would the final immunity challenge be? Crazy huge obstacle course, pinball wizard, or Samotion.
Nice.
And if you don't know what those are, then you're not a Survivor Super fan, and you can use the Google.
In that order.
Yes. Any other final closing thoughts?
I'm just looking forward to the merge feast next week. Some people need to eat.
Yes. I hope everyone gets to eat. I don't like when they come to one where it's like, okay, 2 people have to sit out so everyone can eat, or only half of you get to eat and another you don't. I mean, I just think that they would miss out on an opportunity of all these people coming around, having a big, huge thing. And then, like, hopefully there's wine there and then someone says something stupid.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping that, they know they have all of these huge cast of characters.
Yeah.
Let's get them all together. Get them some brain power with some food. Have a couple beers and wine and act stupid and get some great TV.
The merge is going to be epic. I believe it in my heart.
All right. Well, we will have to wait for your heart's devotions of the merge till next week. And then again, after you enjoy the merge episode next week, tune in the next day for another episode of Tribal Council Talk, your unofficial Survivor podcast. And we will be eagerly awaiting your download. So until then, talk to you later.
Bye.